Interpol has moved forward to normalize its relations to the Assad regime, which has engaged in organ trafficking, mass murder, and crimes against humanity. The move to allow Syria's Assad regime access to Interpol's information networks means that the regime can directly receive and send messages from other Interpol national offices, a right suspended since 2012 due to its criminal activities, which include war crimes. Interpol's timid excuse. Interpol claimed that its reintegration of Syria is in line with the recommendation from the General Secretariat headquarters. Interpol's executive committee endorsed that corrective measures applied to Syria be lifted. The agency also claimed it was incorrect to state that Syria had been readmitted to Interpol, as it has been a member country since first joining in 1953. The recommendation to lift the corrective measures was made following an alleged close monitoring of messages from Syria's National Interpol Office. According to Interpol, individual national Interpol offices still have the power to decide with which other countries to share information. Assad's regime in Syria currently does not have the power to issue international red notice arrest warrants, though it can request the General Secretariat of Interpol to do so. The move by Interpol to allow Syria access to informational networks has raised alarm bells for human rights fighters and anti-crime advocates. The French Foreign Ministry and the United States also declined to endorse the normalization of the Assad regime, which is heavily backed by the Kremlin and CCP. France also stated that it would oppose the move at Interpol's General Assembly next month. What's wrong with the Assad regime? The Assad regime is responsible for the collapse of the Syrian state after decades of nepotism, corruption, and state-sponsored criminal activity crippled its economy. Most of Syria's national wealth was being siphoned into the personal bank accounts of the Assad crime family and allies. It has been used to purchase real estate and luxury assets all across Europe, especially in the UK. In 2012, after mass protests against the growing economic crisis and the regime's heavy-handed tactics against dissidents, which included torture and rape, the Assad regime ordered its security forces to massacre protesters. The recurring massacres and mass arrests led to mass defections and the creation of the Free Syria Resistance Movement. The Assad regime and opposition forces have been at war for more than a decade. To bypass sanctions, the regime has continued to use organized crime as its main source of income outside of taxation. The Assad crime family's sources of revenue include stolen UN-related funding intended to combat Syria's Assad-created humanitarian crisis to the production and distribution of